What's up, guys? As you've seen, a little bit of a journey to get back here to the cabin today. Pennsylvania's weird in a sense that we get snow a couple inches per storm, and then we get these blizzards. If we're lucky, and I'm saying lucky because you gotta love it, if we're lucky we get 2 blizzards a year. Normally that's like 12 to 24, 28 inches of snow. And then what that also does for us as bushcrafters is it absolutely crushes our souls, because many of us don't have snowshoes, and it's not something we just grab with our kit all the time. But lucky for you, today I'm going to show you one way that you can make snowshoes out in the field. It's a fun project. It's something during the winter time that you can do while it's snowing, or if you went into camp somewhere, camp during the blizzard, and then realize it's going to be a nightmare to get out. You can make these snowshoes on the fly, ready to go, get you where you're going. Or you can just save the frames and use them year after year after year, all that stuff. But we'll talk about that. I think we should probably start getting the supplies for it. But first, before I gather some materials, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, and that is Skillshare. Now, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of different classes that are going to inspire your creativity and your curiosity. And if you like my channel and you like learning different things, then Skillshare is for you. So I'll give you an example. I get a lot of emails and I talk to a lot of people at different events, and they say all the time that they wish that they can start a YouTube channel. I said, well, just start the channel. And we talked about this in the past. They're like, I don't know how to run a camera. And then they get beyond that and they're like, I'm just not a creative person. I just don't know what to do. And that's where like Skillshare would come into play, and it would work perfectly for you. I recently watched a video from Andy J. Pizza about finding your creative genius. It was actually a pretty cool video. Now, I have my own style. Everybody knows my short, to the point type style videos, but maybe you need to help find your style. And he lays out the framework for how to actually start to explore that and find the things you like and how to bring them to life in your writing, in your camera work, in your photography, all that kind of good stuff. So you have classes like that. You have classes on photography, classes on business, classes on marketing, classes on videography, Instagram, everything. All these different topics are on there. So what Skillshare has offered to you, my subscribers and viewers, is that the first 1,000 people that click the link below in the description are going to receive a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. And then after that, it's only about 10 bucks a month, so it's good, and there's tons of stuff on there. So when you're done watching my channel, you can head over there and watch all that stuff. And between my channel and that stuff, just limitless viewing. It's going to be great. So thanks, Skillshare. Now I have to really go make the snowshoe stuff. Okay, you crazy bushcrafters, so now we are gonna begin to build the frame for our snowshoes. What you're gonna need for this is 2 long sticks, about thumb-sized, for each snowshoe. So in this case, I'm not gonna bore you to death by building 2 snowshoes, okay? I'll go back and do that later. Let's just build 1 frame at a time, right? So thumb-sized, straight sticks, as straight as possible. You don't have to get overly picky with this. The next thing though is how long should they be? So they should be, when you're standing up, to about your chest. I found that that works about best for what we're gonna be doing. You're gonna lose a little bit of width, and you'll see why in a little bit, but stand up about chest height will be good. Okay, so I have my 2 straight sticks cut. Now, couple measurements, couple key things we want to take into consideration here. First of all, we want to make sure this is wide enough that our foot fits inside, and not too wide that we have a hard time walking, because remember, we're going to have 2 of these on, so we don't want to be like Bigfoot and we can't move around. So the easiest way to do this is literally just put your foot in the middle and make sure that you have a few inches on each side of your foot. We don't want these poles too close that they're like this, or we don't want them too far apart. So just eyeball it, just enough on each side of your foot. Now what that's going to do is that is giving us the width of our snowshoe. So we're going to have to go ahead and we have to cut 2 cross members that are going to fit onto there. These cross members will be lashed onto the 2 sides. Okay, but before you go ahead with that lashing, a couple key things to remember. Number 1 is that you are going to pivot your foot, okay, on this front one. So as you walk, your toe is going to pivot downward, and when you come back, your heel is going to hit the back one. Pivot, heel, okay? So you need to make sure that spacing is correct. You also need to make sure that if you break this main stick into 3 parts, okay, that we're towards the front 1/3 of the snowshoe, okay? We want a lot of weight behind the snowshoe, okay, and a little bit of weight up front. If it's backwards, the snowshoe's not gonna operate correctly. Meaning when we pick our foot up, we want the back of the snowshoe to fall, okay, slightly, so we can step forward. If this was shifted back, when I pick my foot up, the front's not gonna lift up enough and it's gonna keep getting caught in the snow. So towards the front 1/3 of these 2 sticks is where you want that. I would suggest to lash your pivot point on first, then measure up where you need your heel. A square lashing is gonna probably work best for this. If you wanna flatten out the sides to get a better lash, by all means go ahead and do that. I'm gonna get after the lashing here real quick and show you where we're at then. So my first cross member is on now. Pivot point, okay? What you want to think about is where your toes are in your boot, okay? So in my case, they're right about here. That's what you want across that pivot point. You want to feel comfortable. You don't want to feel like your toes are bending when you do that. You want to feel like the bottom balls of your feet are across that thing, that when I lean forward, it's comfortable. So I'm just rocking my foot. Stand there, do that for a second. Make sure it feels comfortable. Lift your heel up. Drop your second one down and it lands nicely on your heel, okay? Just like that, I'm comfortable, lift up, down, comfy. That's how we're gonna keep it. Now I need to lash this back one on. So my rear heel bar is here, front bar is in, everything's stable, I can stand there. Hinge forward, go back, my heel feels comfortable like I'm standing, and I can hinge. Easy, on to the next step. So now we have this frame looking thing. You're gonna come to the front of this, okay? And what you're gonna do is you're gonna push these 2 together and then you are going to lash them. So in my case, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use a straight lash. I'm gonna cross them and get them as tight as I can. And I'm gonna start to pull this and I'm just gonna straight lash this thing right up, okay? All right, now it's finally taking shape. I think everybody can just about see where we're at here. Now, the back side here, totally up to you. I have made these before and have lashed the back with another piece. I have left these open. It seems to work about the same. So to just eliminate an extra step and some extra tying, I would say let that stuff just go. When you see the next step, how we're actually gonna use branches to fill this in, you're gonna probably realize you don't need it. But if you wanna put it in there, by all means put it in there. Now, we're gonna go and gather some more material. Excited. And you may have already guessed it, but there's not too much that we can utilize from the landscape to actually give us that surface area we need, okay? So what we're gonna have to lash to the frame is some type of pine bough or hemlock bough, okay? In our case, we have a lot of this hemlock around. So all that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break it off. I'm gonna get a lot of it though, and take it back and show you how we could put this on the frame. Don't make a big deal about this. Just grab a whole bunch, take it back and get it done. It's easy stuff. I think that'll be good. Okay, so I'm gonna lay this first pile of branches. There's nothing on there. I'm gonna take that towards the back. Take these 2 pieces. Okay, now I'm working on the underside here. Okay, the top side is facing down. Okay, I'm gonna lay them across that beam. Take a piece of rope. Okay, however you want to put this on here. Again, no rules to this. And literally, you could just tie this on with any kind of knot that you want. You want to just make sure it's secure. Okay, if you want to go crazy with it and tie a bunch of knots, well, go ahead. You can do that. But I think it's a little bit uncalled for. As long as you have knots in there that are gonna hold it in place. I'm gonna tie another one over here, okay? Just finding some branches and tying them on. That's all we're looking to do right now. Just to hold these things as we walk. Remember, there's gonna be friction between you and the ground, so you don't have to get overboard crazy with this stuff. All right? Now, what I would do in the next part of this is I'll grab some more of these branches and I'm gonna go the other direction. So I'm just gonna go across this way. And you can see it's really starting to get filled in here towards the back real nice, okay? So I'm gonna come across this way And now I'm going to tie these on the frame just like this. Okay, so where I'm at now when I stand this up is a world of mayhem, especially when I turn it over this way. You can see it's the branches are sticking really far out and things like that. So what I want to do now, or I like to do, I mean, I guess you don't have to do this. I think that it dresses it up a little bit more, is we're going to take all these branches, if we can tuck them back in somewhere, okay? That's just going to add more thickness to your shoe itself. Some of these lower branches, as you can see, are really, really far out. I can either break them and jam them further in, okay, to give us some more thickness, or the point of this whole little segment here is I can just take some rope and I can just tie this back, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just start up in this area. I'm going to tie this all back to get these sides in a little bit better, and I'm just going to rock and roll with it like that. Okay, so you can see now that's a lot more tucked in, okay? It looks a lot better this way, all right? We have pretty good density from top to bottom. Now I'm going to show you how to just use rope to make your bindings. You don't need fancy leather bindings. We're making this all bushcraft style. So let me show you to make those bindings really quick, and then we're going to go for a walk, one-legged. We're going to show you how one leg goes in and how this floats across the snow. It's going to be great. I'm so pumped. Okay, so I'm going to use this bright orange rope because I think you'll be able to see it a lot easier. The easiest way to do this is actually stand on the snowshoe itself. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rope and I'm going to lay it across the front of my toe, make sure everything else is in place, and then that pivot bar, we're going to tuck the rope from the back side to the front. From the back side to the front, okay? Now, we want this to go across our foot, that we can still pivot our foot, okay? The rope should feel like it's in between the foot and the toe joint, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the line that's coming across my toes. I'm going to go around that just a couple times like this, okay? I'm going to pull this side tight. I'm going to do the same on this side. So all that I'm doing is I'm wrapping the rope around what we'll call the toe line, okay? 1 or 2 times. Okay, now at this point, I have the rope on one side, rope on the other. We're going to crisscross them. We're going to come around to the back of our shoe and tie it. We can either tie it with a bow tie it with a knot, whatever you want to do. If you have enough line, you want to come back around, that's fine. But this way right here, this will keep it in place and you're going to be good to go. Now, as you can see, I have control over this. My heel comes up, my toe stays in place. So you can see as I step, okay, my weight's displaced here, my foot goes all the way down in. Weight's displaced, foot goes all the way in. That's a good deep one there. So my foot is sinking in a really good amount, okay? Probably 8 to 10 inches. And my snowshoe, if it hits soft snow, is sinking in anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. So definitely a success. Oh, and just like that, snowshoe success, okay? Now, if we don't wreck the place, this will hold up until those pine boughs or those hemlock boughs rot away, okay? If you keep the frame, okay, and you pull the boughs out and you let it dry, you're probably gonna have to go back and tighten up them lashings. But if you're in a situation like Pennsylvania here and you don't use snowshoes all the time and you just wanna have something for a backup, keep them frames. Once they dry out and you tighten them back up, you'll have them for a lifetime because you're not going to use them all that much. Take the bark off, you'll be good. So you can see as I walked around there, that left foot post holing all the way down in, and the snowshoe just floating on top of the snow. So definitely a success, definitely something viable. Another tool for the toolbox for all you once in a while blizzard type people, or you people who have to live with snowshoes the entire winter. Either way, it's a great thing. I want to thank you for joining me. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com for all our classes, merchandise, and all the cool stuff. And also soon, we're launching our new website. So I know some people had website issues and they've been looking for some products we've been using and things like that. Everything will be on a new site. We have a ton of new products on there. Everything's updated. No more issues with anything. It'll be great. Until next video, stay in the woods.